But this is our website. This is the stem.org.uk. Please feel free to browse it whenever you like and have a look at things. There's a lot of stuff on there because this is the website where STEM ambassadors go. It's the website where teachers go. It's the website where any kind of passerby on the internet can go if they need any STEM resources or knowledge or inspiration. So this is the spot for everyone. So I'll get the video going. And it's a really lovely demonstration actually about how you start up in making your STEM ambassador account on the website. It's a fairly straightforward process, and although I've got the video just in case of Rebecca kind of going through it, there's not much you need to do to actually register in the first place. There's a couple bits of information you need to put on there, such as your home address, your job description, and a couple other personal things. It's important to have this personal information on there just for kind of safeguarding reasons and to link to your DBS, but as well as for my personal knowledge about who you are. So there's often times when I'll have a teacher, perhaps from Scarborough or Selby, that's asking for somebody. So me knowing whereabouts you live, it means I can target you and be able to talk to you directly rather than asking you to travel for 3 hours to get somewhere. So popping the home address in there too. So once you've done this registration process, you'll have a profile on the website. And it's at that point where I'll send you a message because I recognise that you signed up, and I'll be like, hello, it's me, how you doing? And I'll explain the process in an email to you in all the detail you need again. But the next thing I'll ask you to do is to complete an induction. And this can happen one of two ways. Normally, I ask STEM ambassadors to do an online induction. And this online induction can be found at the bottom of your profile. It's a really kind of just a clickable link. And it will take you about kind of an hour or so in your own time. You can pause it, come back to it whenever you like. But there's some really important safeguarding things in there that you need to know. So things about working with young people and vulnerable people. And it's just us being confident that you as an individual is also confident in being able to do those things. But Emma and I have also been talking about the potential for having that induction session actually happening in person. So if there's enough interest, very, very, very happy to do that. It'll probably take about an hour once again, but if it's in person, it might just also allow another opportunity to talk more directly about workshops perhaps, or kind of any spitballing ideas or brainstorming session, or any kind of ideas, conversation you'd like to have about collaborating with doing fun events or activities or anything. But very happy to do that. She's finished. I think that will just loop back around, won't it? Yeah. So the next step after doing the induction is to do a DBS. And DBSs, of course, are a legal requirement to go into any schools to talk with young people. Normally, they cost £40 to get, but with us, they are completely for free. So you don't have to cover any of the costs. We've got your back. We've got everything sorted. And normally, kind of in a pre-COVID world, the way that we ask that to happen is we ask you to come into the Railway Museum and we can validate your passport or kind of other identifiers that you are who you say you are, and we can kind of pop that into the DBS system. The DBS team will work with the police force or the government bodies to be able to confirm your identity. You'll get the DBS certificate in the post, and that's kind of it. Because of COVID, we're trying to change that process slightly, and we're asking for people to do this online instead. I'll send across all the information when it comes to that point, but it's more kind of remote, so it's more about you having to put your passport information in online on the form rather than me doing it for you. But it also means you having to find an external verifier who can kind of just double check those passports, because otherwise anyone could be putting in anything. But yeah, that's not a right now issue, of course. It's something that can happen in the future. And along with the induction session, I'm very happy to run with Emma. I'm also very happy to do that in person at that time. So if people are keen, if people want that really easy way of just doing the induction session and doing a DBS check at the same time, very happy. And that's kind of it for website kind of wise. From that point, you can kind of do stuff with your profile and kind of buff it out a little bit and kind of write a biography about yourself. Some people put their entire CV into the biography. Some people put one sentence. It's only myself and the people in the STEM Hub that can see your profiles. It's not teachers or anyone else on the website. So any information you put in there is for me to read. So it could say, for example, Abby, I really want to talk about sloths. Sloths are my absolute passion. They're my favourite thing in the entire world. So get me sorted with someone who wants to chat with me about sloths. And then as I'm scrolling through and, going through the list, and I'm thinking, who can talk about sloths? There you are.
Is that a common
So, well, not yet, but one day, maybe. Another thing that will be really useful as well, just to bear in mind if you do sign up soon, is about the job description. So a lot of the times I get people signing up that call themselves a project manager or an engineer or a specialist, or even they just say employed as their job title, which is fine, you know, if you want to be kind of shady about it, fine. But as part of my job, you know, as I said earlier about there being 700 people involved in my area, it's really great for me to know actually a little bit more about that. So even if your job is just an engineer or an accountant or a one-word thing, if you could put in a couple extra words just saying of what, then as I'm scrolling through and going through that big long Excel spreadsheet, then I can really easily pick out what you are, who you are, what you do, what you're interested in, and then I can make those connections a little bit easier. And that's kind of how the website works, just kind of on the surface, so kind of getting started. Like I said, this is the website that you kind of go to for kind of all of the activities and everything, and I'm sure Becca will perhaps go through that. I'm going to kindly ask her to show perhaps a profile if she can, along with some activities. But this is this is where everything is on the website. So as Emma said, the website can be used if you have an offer that you'd like to give out. So talking about the Fibonacci sequence video resource, you can pop it as an offer on there, and then teachers from all across the country can sign up and say, can you just send me that resource? It's really great. But 90% of the things on there are teachers who have placed an activity on there who have said, we're looking for someone who's a sloth expert. And based upon kind of the information that you put in here about memberships you're part of, about how far you're willing to travel, about interests that you have, all these things the website will take into consideration, and it will only give you opportunities that are linked with those things. So if you can only walk somewhere and you don't have any access to public transport and you've got a 10-mile radius, you can pop it on and we'll find you someone within 10 miles. And that's kind of it. I'll let Rebecca do kind of the rest of that stuff. But whilst I'm talking, I wanted to talk about a couple more STEM opportunities for activities and fun stuff. So if I stop the recording and show you just kind of right at the very start, the STEM Learning website here. So this is kind of the first bit when you go onto stem.org.uk, this is what you see. But if you were to go on the resources button there, that can show you every single resource that STEM Learning have to offer. And there are thousands of resources on there. And every single resource has been confirmed by a teacher or by a STEM employer or by some kind of professional within the education world or the professional world, so that it's something that's really is really good as a resource. And I think the thing that's really the best thing about those resources is that they're really specifically linked to a year group and to a topic as well. So if you work as a railway engineer, you could type in trains into the little drop-down box in the resources thing and year 5, and it will come up with a whole list of things that you could potentially do. And these vary massively from, you know, a STEM club session that could take 6 weeks, or it could be a half an hour long virtual session. There's lots of stuff on there. So I just really wanted to plug that and say that if you're struggling to think of ideas, or, you know, this all sounds really keen, but it's all really overwhelming, that's the first place to look for kind of some inspiration, because it's all teacher certified and stuff that we know is going to make a difference and we know is going to be spot on and like the perfect stuff. A couple other STEM resources that I want to plug. It's British Science Week coming up in March. And as a STEM hub, we always try and kind of do our best to try and make it as exciting as possible. And again, this year it's going to be quite virtual. And as of today, I've launched this resource called, what have I called it? I've called it My Blossoming STEM Career is the resource name, aimed at primary school students. And I've called it that because the theme for British Science Week is growth. So that can be from a biological perspective, of course. It could be from growth of data, or the growth of your STEM career and kind of how you've evolved as a STEM person and kind of where you are today. So I'm really hoping for this resource that it'll be a really kind of nice visual thing, perhaps showing like a seed of where like the seeds of your inspiration was, or kind of what got you the ball going kind of with your career or with your mindset. And then a couple kind of little sprouts that have grown a little bit more, and so use captions about kind of different stages in your life. And then perhaps a flower if you feel like you've already blossomed, perhaps a just even taller plant if you feel like you're yet to blossom. Talking about that. So it's that kind of stuff that I think is really cool, and that kind of stuff you can find on the website. I'm coming up with these ideas all the time about really easy things that we can give to schools, that all you've got to do is send me an email saying, like, I went to university, that's my seed. I met this really cool person who was a mentor for me, that's my little sproutling. And now I'm a year into my grad scheme, and that's kind of the flower. You know, all that's your email, and then that's it kind of sorted. Another thing that I just mentioned to Emma that I think will be a really cool opportunity for people here is that I have a contact at WISE, and I can't quite remember. They're women in STEM, science, engineering, STEM, engineering. Very similar to what people here are doing, women in tech, very similar. And they're a national kind of group of women who aim to raise awareness of STEM things. And my contact sent me a message yesterday, and she was like, we've got this really fantastic resource called My Skills, My Life. It's all about STEM professionals talking about their jobs and their careers and education and anything that has made them where they are today, with the goal being that it can be a virtual resource firstly, but secondly that these people can then go into a school and then be involved in some kind of workshopping lesson with the students or some assembly or however it may manifest. Her email was, can you know anyone that help? And I'm like, well, luckily I'm coming here today, so I thought it might be a really lovely opportunity if anybody was interested in signing up to become an ambassador, that could be a really lovely kind of first goal. So you can get through all of that induction process, that DBS process, and then instead of thinking, now what, there's all this stuff going on and it's all really overwhelming and there's a lot to do, that could be a really nice initial thing to get you into that world, because not only is it supported by WISE, who are another fantastic women in STEM group to get involved in, but it's also the opportunity to directly get into a school without it having to be off your own back.
I'm going to talk through now the Ambassador platform, how it kind of works, and cover a few of the bits that Abby just went through. So the first thing I'll cover is the resources search that she mentioned. So this is the resources search here. Like she said, all the resources that belong on here have been vetted by a teacher or someone internal to STEM learning who has had experience in the teaching world. So, you know, if you know you're going into a secondary level computing lesson, you could pop in here and find something engineering and computing and keep clicking through till you find sort of a relevant resource that works for you. For anyone who's interested, our actual website itself is built on Drupal, and the STEM Ambassador platform is built in Symfony PHP. And this is what the Ambassador platform looks like. So when you sign up as an ambassador and when you've had your DBS check and you've got your induction, you will see a dashboard very similar to this. And it will show you how many activities you've completed and the impact that you have had on a given period. You can download this impact form if you need to. You know, some people feel they need to share it with their employers, maybe for appraisals or different things like that. And it gives you a really great breakdown of how many activities you completed and who you impacted. The Ambassador platform itself is incredibly powerful. It does so many different things, a bit like Abby touched on. There's a lot of admin side of things that you don't see as well. But pretty much what you see is what you get. The front end looks like this. We've done a lot of work recently with these dashboards to make them much more interactive. And my job as the product owner is to help push those changes through and work with the development and the internal teams to get the best value out of our product. So when you're an ambassador, like Abby said, this would be the dashboard that you would see. You can see when the last time you volunteered were, when your next one is coming up and things like this. You can see if any of your activities require feedback, if you've got any messages you need to respond to, and also the offers that Emma touched on. You can see which ones are offer. So I have some test offers here because this is our testing environment, but you can see that this offer is live and when it expires and things. And if I click through to it, it'll probably have some good test data in because we've been testing, but it gives you it shows you me offering the teacher the offer here. What I'll do quickly is I will show you an activity view, if I can get the Zoom thing to close. So this is an activity here. So when you're an ambassador and you've searched, so you would search in activities and browse here like this, and we've got a really nice map view. So you can see where activities are related to you. So I'm zoomed out here because I've said that I want to see everything in the whole of the UK, but it gives me little pins to show me kind of which areas are little hotspots of different activities. And then I can zoom in and click through. We also have a section for online activities because obviously with the pandemic, a lot more things are going online. So you can see here that you could volunteer for these things and, there are online activities. So this would be a test activity here that I've just created while we were chatting on the first half of the event. And you can express your interest here and give your reason to kind of why you would want to volunteer for this. You would then send a message to the teacher. So, hi, I'm interested in volunteering. And then you can express the interest in the activity. And then this message is sent to the teacher and they get notified that you're interested. The teacher will then accept you on the offer and you can have a bit more back and forth to work out how you want to run the activity. And then you're marked as attended and completed. And then once the time's passed, you're asked to feedback on these things to help with your personal development. Let's say that you did an activity that wasn't on the STEM Ambassador platform. You went to a local school and you ran a STEM club. You can still record all that information for yourself and add the activities as you go. So you can add where you did things and with what schools you did, so you don't lose it. So this kind of becomes your record of achievement in the ambassador world, which is really beneficial if you need to report back for your job or anything like that. So that's it really. Like Abby said, it's so simple and so easy to use. I mean, I'm in our testing site here at the moment, so it is a little bit on the slower side, but we've done a lot of work recently to really improve the performance and the usage of the site for all users. So we're doing lots of maintenance all the time and improvements, and always ask ambassadors and teachers for feedback. So, as you're going through this process, it would be great to hear what you think of these things. So as you can see, my dashboard's updated there with that new activity that I'm going to be part of. So that's kind of it really. That's all I was going to go through, just to show you what it would look like if you're an ambassador, how simple it is and how easy it is to use. And I know there's a bit of a delay, so I won't wait for any questions, but if anyone has any, you can find me on Twitter or I'm on the Slack channel, or you can send me them. We can try and do some kind of, like I said before, Eurovision delay on questions and answers. But yeah, just to really reiterate, it's very simple. And I'm happy to talk about the tech and what it means to be a product owner of something like this if anyone is interested in that side of things. So yeah, I will stop talking now. Thank you very much.